and some of the great ones that were. Plus, we're going to meet a heap of well-wishers. Let me introduce you to a man who was there when the very first Holden came off the line in 1948.
Yes, the 48215 I think was a wonderful contribution to Australia. People didn't realise how important it was until it was built. We couldn't make enough of them.
97-year-old Jack Rawnsley is the last surviving member of the 48215 launch team and was guest of honour at Holden's official 60th birthday ceremony. Jack's team responded with the 48215 Holden when Prime Minister Ben Chifley supported Holden's plan to build Australia's own car.
We were very pleased with the whole reception of the car, and Chifley was one, of course, because he was one of the sponsors of the car. And he came here the day we had the celebration for the release of the car, and he was delighted when he said, "It's a beauty."
Holden's firstborn became an overnight sensation and spawned its first jingle.
Holden, you in my Holden, life is simply divine.
Australia loved its new baby and demand exceeded supply. In 1953, the legendary FJ rolled out and began the cycle of innovation and leadership with every model.
I don't think anybody at Holden realised what they had on their hands. If you think about it, like it was such a massive gamble and so much thought and creativity and all that sort of stuff. And then when they actually got the car out there, I mean, they had an 18-month waiting list. They couldn't supply the cars. It just went off like a hand grenade. And it's fantastic. I don't think there's ever been a car like that in Australia.
FE followed in 1956 with a revolutionary curved windscreen and modern squarer style. And Holden's advertising got special effects.
Two more reasons for Holden's deep, relaxing comfort are the soft foam padding and proven Z-type seat springs that give you a smooth, pleasant ride.
Holden also started shipping overseas.
Arriving in Cape Town. It's a real fair dinkum job, isn't it? Watch this. There's no stopping these Holdens.
Yes, that's Holden, all right.
1961's EK introduced an automatic transmission. And at a new proving ground in Victoria, Holden tested its cars to survive tough Aussie road conditions.
Test drivers work a 24-hour day and night schedule over this torture track. Holden EJ.
The EJ in 62 introduced a new streamlined body shape. It gave you front seatbelt anchorages, but in those days, seatbelts were optional. Holden was developing a new interest in safety and saw the 1 millionth Holden roll off the line.
This is the year of the millionth Holden, and this is the millionth Holden.
Holden was getting bigger and safer. The HD came with disc brakes as an option.
Take those hills, mile on mile.
Holden's advertising got more adventurous for the HR model.
Into your own private world, a wonderful moment of discovery.
The time is now, and the car is Holden. Yes, something's happened to Holden. Look again, look closely.
And the water theme continued with the mighty HK.
For 1968, an exciting new generation of Holdens. Watch the Holden Kingswood sedan.
HK went wider, longer, lower and roomier with an expanded options list. Australians got to personalise their cars.
Holden, totally new.
Belmont and Kingswood models emerged.
A new standard of road holding at your Holden dealer now.
There's a whisper on the wind, Monaro.
In 1968, the iconic Monaro was born.
There's a full-loaded door, there are four on the floor, and life is suddenly very Monaro.
And in the following year, Neil Armstrong landed on the moon, and Monaro went along for the ride with its brand new Aussie-built V8.
You are in the future now.
The GTS 327 Monaro was a fire breather that captured the hearts of Australians.
The new Monaro, imported straight from the future. Now's the time to go Monaro.
That car was fantastic. The noise, the performance, the steering, it was a fabulous car. I wish I had one now.
Now, on the wings of change, Holden announces a fantastic, exciting range of totally new cars.
Holden was reaching new heights of automotive success, and in 1971, the stylish new HQ was to become the biggest selling Holden ever.
And it moves, yeah.
It's a strong living style, a whole fresh move. It's Holden.
We saw added safety initiatives like padded dashboards and curved doors to provide greater side impact protection. Modest by today's standards, but it showed Holden's leadership in safety. The tradies panel van was worked over and the Sandman legend was born. Nearly 500,000 HQs were sold and Holden's sales leadership continued through the next 3 models. But the happening 70s bubble was about to burst.
VB was a complete change in direction for Holden. That, those particular times were very difficult. It wasn't a crisis much as today with the price of oil, although the price of oil did go up, but it was a case of there was no oil or no petrol, and that's an entirely different subject. So VB, to some extent, came about in response to a crisis in fuel, if you like.
Commodore is an example of Holden's ability to respond quickly with innovation, and the bold gamble paid off. Australians embraced Commodore and a 30-year love affair began.
This is it, and this time I know it's for real.
New Holden Commodore in 3 exciting models. At your Holden dealers now.
Over the next 10 years, Holden continued with the smaller Commodore, but as the oil crisis subsided, there was pressure to increase its size. Australians wanted their big car back.
Ford came out with a bigger car, with the XD, and it was well received, and Holden had to respond, but it did respond and responded well, and we saw, turning back to developing larger cars again, which the Aussie public seemed to appreciate, getting back to bigger engines, stronger engines, more spacious, and that's kind of been the Commodore as we've known it.
The first completely new Holden Commodore in 10 years is about to be launched.
It started its second decade with a new shape and a new V6 engine. Passengers got more space in the cabin. And did Holden like it?
Like it. We love it.
Over the next models, Commodore led competitors with independent rear suspension, airbags and fuel-efficient engine technology. And in 1993, we saw Acclaim, introduced in a range with an unprecedented level of safety. After nearly 10 years of Commodore success, Holden embarked on the largest and most advanced new vehicle engineering program it had ever undertaken. Holden's 50th anniversary would be celebrated with the release of VT, an all-Australian designed Commodore. We'll be back after the break where the party continues. But all parties have memorable moments, and here's one of Holden's.
Are you ready for bed?
Check out this camping accessory released in the 70s for the Tirana hatchback. Remember, if the Tirana's rockin', don't bother knockin'.
All new Holden Tirana. Holden Tirana at your Holden dealer.
Welcome back to 60 years of Holden. Well, we've been dusting off the reels and have found this fantastic piece of footage of a wild publicity stunt. Community sponsorship is important to Holden, and in the late 90s it combined a Melbourne Zoo sponsorship and the PR launch of a new Holden lion, the Vectra. The Vectra was placed inside the lion's exhibit, and the inmates were encouraged to get close for the cameras. The encouragement worked a little too well. Holden's support then helped build a new lion exhibit at Victoria's Werribee Open Range Zoo. By 1997, Holden's world-class design, engineering and manufacturing capability produced the game-changing VT Commodore, and Australians reaped the rewards. A series of Commodores that won unprecedented popularity year on year.
It was through the life of the VT that the Commodore shifted from simply being a sedan and a station wagon, one car that could do everything, to a more of a sports sedan. They had the dynamics, they had the steering, they had the ride, they had the road holding, they had the performance with the engines. And gradually, through each model, people could see that rather than buying an expensive, posh European car, you could get this homegrown car that was bigger, half the price, and was absolutely a joy to drive.
1997 saw Commodore once again win the prestigious Wheels Car of the Year and became Australia's top-selling car.
That car had a lot of local Holden design and engineering thinking in it, and what that did, it actually showed the Americans that these guys really knew what they were doing and that they could do things as well as, and certainly a lot better than, their counterparts in the United States.
Australia woke up on January the 1st, 2000 with a hangover, a dead millennium bug and the 2000 Sydney Olympics looming. Holden was there with a fresh face for Commodore. The new car proudly escorted the Olympic torchbearers around Australia, giving adoring fans their first close-up look at the car. Oh, and the flame. In 2004, Commodore was refreshed with a locally built all-alloy V6 engine, but Holden didn't stray far from its winning